Hey guys, tonight we journey somewhere warm, ancient, and softly feline. You're standing barefoot in the cool dust beside the Nile. The moon casts silver ripples on the dark water, and in the distance, a narrow reed boat rocks gently pulled lazily upstream by a current that hasn't hurried in thousands of years. The night smells faintly of damp papyrus and crushed dates. A single lantern glows at the prow of the boat, revealing not a courier, not a scroll-wielding scribe, but a cat. Sleek, deliberate, and surprisingly dignified, it sits beside a small leather pouch tied to its back, as if this whole ancient delivery system thing was just its day job. It probably was. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop your location and the current time in the comments. I love seeing where and when you're tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You squat by the reeds, fingers trailing the river's edge, while an elderly fisherman settles beside you. His linen tunic is patched, his hands calloused. He doesn't speak at first. Instead, he gestures toward the boat, now vanishing into the mist like something half-remembered. Used to be more of 'em, he mumbles eventually. Postal cats, before camels ruined the magic. You blink, unsure if you've heard right. Cats, he repeats, nodding. Trained them to carry messages, little scrolls in reed tubes or leather pouches. Smart creatures, smarter than some scribes. And just like that, you're pulled into the slippery timeline of an Egypt rarely discussed in textbooks. This isn't Ramses yelling on a battlefield or Cleopatra whispering behind silken fans. This is the low hum of daily life, the soft padding of paws between temples and mud brick homes, the unsung whiskered workforce that allegedly helped Egypt stay connected. Historians still argue whether the system was official or just an odd village trick that caught on. Some dismiss it entirely as fanciful oral tradition. Others point to papyri with curiously paw-shaped wax seals and records noting swift message arrived before sun stood high. Interpretations differ, but the stories persist. And the stories begin here. Picture the Nile Valley not as a tourist spot, but as a breathing, shuffling, snoring organism. Homes cluster along irrigation canals. Children nap on rooftops. Vendors call out dried fig deals in hoarse voices. And amid it all, cats roam, not as strays, but as respected citizens. In some towns, they're borderline royalty. In others, they're postal workers. You step through a market now shuttered for the night. Linen awnings flap gently in the breeze. A tiny chime tinkles a cat's collar bell, possibly bronze, maybe just bone, and something sleek darts across your path. You catch a glimpse of the pouch on its back and follow. Soft paw prints mark the sand, surprisingly neat for something so old. Along the way, you pass doorways where elders still whisper bedtime stories to bored grandchildren about cats who knew how to find anyone, even across the river. One tale says a cat once delivered a birthday cake from Thebes to a fishing village on the same day. The cake predictably did not survive intact, but the note tucked inside, tied with blue string, did. The recipient was touched, if a little frosting deprived. You arrive now at a courtyard shaded by fig trees, the branches heavy with fruit and snoozing cats. A few wake to glance at you, then promptly resume their very important job of doing nothing. It's here beneath the fig canopy that an elderly woman offers you a story in exchange for listening, just listening, not payment. You nod. She describes the training process, not the full technical version that comes later, but the whispered lore of how it all began. There was a young palace cat, she says, fond of snatching sandals. One day, it took the wrong sandal, or perhaps the right one. It belonged to a nobleman's daughter. She chased the cat only to find it waiting patiently at the door of her lover's house across the town square. A message was tied to its neck. Some say it was the girl's own writing, some say the cat wrote it. Either way, the letter found its way into the right hands. And so the idea was born. The woman shrugs. Or maybe the priests invented it to keep secrets from the tax collectors. You thank her and continue walking, soothed by the rhythm of your own steps and the occasional meow echoing off plaster walls. Every so often you spot faded mural fragments, cats painted with golden wings, scrolls tucked under one arm. Of course, cats don't have arms. But artistic liberties are always allowed when feline divinity is involved. And speaking of divinity, you begin to sense the importance these cats once carried. More than pets, more than vermin hunters, something else. A middle tier between human and God, perhaps. One part neighbor, one part sacred functionary. There's a subtle reverence in how people still leave bowls of milk near shrines or etch tiny paw prints beside prayers scratched into clay. Suddenly, you're surrounded by ruins, the crumbled remains of what was once a message hub. Papyrus scraps flutter in the wind like lazy confetti. A faded sign carved in stone reads something akin to courier resting place. No dogs beyond this point. You chuckle quietly. Despite the fanciful tone, one grounded fact remains: cats were deeply woven into Egyptian culture, spiritually and practically. They protected grain stores from rats, were mummified in rituals, and featured heavily in household art. The leap from companion to courier doesn't seem so absurd when you live in a world where messages are sacred, roads are dusty, and feline intelligence is deeply respected. One scholar in the 1920s claimed to have found tiny cat harnesses near a temple granary, though others argue they were ornamental, not functional. Still, the idea that cats once served as messengers in a pre-pigeon postal network lingers on purring at the edge of plausibility. And so as the stars shift over the Nile and you settle into the slow rhythm of the story, remember this isn't just history, it's bedtime history, the kind with just enough whimsy to keep your mind engaged and just enough repetition to lull it into calm. Somewhere out there, a striped tabby with a satchel full of secrets is still padding softly across the sand, never late, never early, always arriving at exactly the right moment.